Hi everybody! So today I am going to be finally finishing my breastfeeding story. So this is going to be part 2, but it's also going to mostly be because this is just such a massive part of my story, and based on what I've heard from you ladies on Facebook, a great deal of you have been struggling with weaning your baby off the nipple shield because a lot of you had a very similar issue that I had when it came to the baby just not latching, and the nipple shield was the only way you could get the baby to latch. So I'm going to be going over that the majority of this video because that is just such a huge chunk of my story. So first of all, I'm going to start off with what a nipple shield is. I'll show you guys what mine looked like. I had the Medela nipple shield, and it's kind of dirty right now because it's been sitting in my cupboard and it's all dusty at the moment. But here is what a nipple shield looks like. I haven't used it in a long time now. So yeah, this is what it looks like. You put it on your nipple, just sort of, you know, a way so that the baby doesn't actually, you know, get its nose stuck against the plastic part. And it has these holes in it so that the milk can go through. And it's just like a basically very firm shaped nipple. And what these were created for, or what they're used majority of the time for, is they are used to shield the nipples from really aggressive feeders. So if you're like somebody who's been struggling with like bleeding, sore, cracked nipples for whatever reason, these babies will help shield you, but that's not what I was using it for. This was actually the only way we could get Olivia to latch. A few days after I asked my midwife about giving this a try, and she was hesitant to suggest it to me in the first place just because she was really, we both were really hoping that Olivia would just latch on her own, because my midwife knew of the issues that can come along with introducing the nipple shield and how much of a journey it is in its own to wean a baby off the nipple shield, because they get used to a big, fat, firm silicone nipple basically. So my story with this is we used the nipple shield for a good month. We tried on and off without the nipple shield, and funnily enough, Olivia would latch onto my nipple without even realizing, but then about 2 or 3 minutes into it, she would realize that this wasn't there, I guess, and she would just start fussing and be really mad and really crazy, and I would try to relatch her and she would not latch unless this was on. So I knew that Olivia had the potential to do it without it, so that's one thing that was like, okay, well that's good, she at least can latch. She's just being a stubborn little brat, pretty much. And I also wanted to clarify, like, I know some people also use this, the people who have inverted nipples. For me, that was not a problem, so I'm not so sure if weaning your baby off of this is a good idea if you are someone with inverted nipples, because I'm sure this could be a lifesaver if you're somebody who doesn't have nipples that can breastfeed very easily. But in my circumstance, my daughter was just being a little stubborn little one. So yeah, the fact that she actually could latch did give me a sense of hope, and I kind of tried on and off with the nipple shield for a little while. One thing that I do have to mention is when I actually did manage to get her to latch, it was really difficult to breastfeed, because even so she would latch without the nipple shield, I would still have to constantly hold and squeeze my nipple in a very pointy shape in order for her to be kind of tricked into latching, and that made breastfeeding extremely exhausting and difficult. But yeah, we were doing that for a little while, and we would just kind of go back and forth between the nipple shields. And then one day, I read online that it's possible for your milk production to kind of waver a bit when it comes to the nipple shield because it's not direct stimulation, and the thought of that just completely freaked me out, and I started stressing quite a lot as well. And I just decided right then and there that I was going to wean her off of the nipple shield. I was just like, you know what, Olivia, that's it. You're going to learn how to do this. I am sick and tired. I mean, it's like also the nipple shield can be really annoying because you lose it, like you forget where you put it, and that is just such a drama when you forget where you put your nipple shield. Like your baby's hungry and you're looking everywhere for the nipple shield. It kind of gets rid of the great quality of breastfeeding where you don't have to go and heat up a bottle. It's like if you lose your nipple shield, you have to go looking for it, and then your baby's screaming forever, and it just sucks. And also when you're breastfeeding in public, it can be a little embarrassing putting this thing on your nipple. it's such a hassle, and sometimes it falls off, and I can't imagine breastfeeding her with the nipple shield at this point in time because she uses her hands so much to breastfeed. I can just imagine her ripping it on and off, and it would just be so annoying. So there are a lot of negative qualities to doing this. But I have known women, or I don't know them, but I have read on forums that some women have successfully breastfed with the nipple shield like a year or a year and a half. But I just knew that I did not want to get in that situation. I basically just cut her off cold turkey. From that point on, I was like, Olivia, that's it, pretty much. I put my foot down in this kind of situation, and I was having a really rough time with it, and so was Olivia for a little while. Honestly, I say that we don't use the cry it out method with Olivia, like when it comes to sleeping, but I will say that we actually did use the cry it out method to a certain extent when it came to breastfeeding, because that was kind of our only way to get her to successfully breastfeed. I just sort of told Olivia, I'm not going to bottle feed you, I'm not going to formula feed you, you are going to be breastfed, you have the potential to breastfeed. And it was really hard for her, and she was really confused because she got so used to this thing as well. I think I can understand why she was kind of attached to it. Kind of I think what else made our breastfeeding so successful, because we went through a lot of drama. I think breastfeeding can be hard for anybody in general, but I will say that I think with Olivia, she was extra difficult. I would say our journey has been a little bit exceptional in a lot of circumstances, and the fact that it was really, really hard. As a matter of fact, when I think back on it, naturally, I don't even know, like, in nature how we would have gotten through it. It's kind of hard to think of, like, you know, not being in a time like we are now where there's all these other options and help and all that stuff. So it's kind of scary to think. But I did also keep this in my mind when I wanted to give up breastfeeding. I'm like, you know what, Daniela, you don't have a choice. You have to breastfeed your child, because otherwise she wouldn't survive in nature. And that's kind of the way that I always thought of it. And it's kind of harsh, and it's the way I always got through it, though, is like, it's, you know, you being miserable and depressed from breastfeeding, or your child won't survive kind of situation. I mean, of course, that's not the reality, because there's all these other options out there these days, but that's what really helped me get through it. I just kind of made it like not an option. It was just breastfeeding was the only option in my eyes. So when I cut her off cold turkey, we had a really hard time for a couple weeks, I'd say. And I think the number one thing that I suggest anybody have is a good support person, like obviously a lactation consultant. I did not have a lactation consultant in this case scenario. Me and my husband were just very committed, because my husband had a lot of free time off work. He was always supportive. When I was really, you know, down about breastfeeding, he was always very supportive. He wanted Olivia breastfed just as badly as I did, and I think it's important for both parents to be on the same page. There's a really wonderful book, the Breastfeeding book by the Sears family, and there's a wonderful section for the fathers, because it is quite an emotional roller coaster for them as well. It's not as hard as it is for the moms, obviously, but it helps teach them what to expect, and also how to handle certain situations, and to understand that breastfeeding is really difficult, and also to get them on the same page, know that they want their child to be breastfed as well. That's me and my husband were always on the same page about this topic pretty much. So while we were weaning her off the nipple shield, he would help me out a lot. Olivia at the time was feeding every 1 to 2 hours for 40 minutes straight. So what we would do is he would latch her on for me, because I would have to hold my nipple, like squeeze it into this really pointy position for a really, really, really long time, for 40 minutes basically. And latching her did take about 5 minutes at some times, and it was really frustrating, and she would scream a lot and cry a lot and get really frustrated, and I would get really frustrated. I would start crying, but we didn't give up. My husband just said, okay, we try again, and when she was hungry enough, she took it. And she knew how to breastfeed as well. She's a perfect breastfeeder. She has a great latch. She's perfect. I don't know why she was being so stubborn. So my husband would basically sit there and hold her head, keep her connected, like you know, support her. So she would stay up while I support my boob and my nipple. And my husband and I would do this every day, every 2 hours for 40 minutes. This went on for about a week, and then after that it got to a point where it could just be me and her. It was still pretty exhausting, but it was doable. And you know what? As time progressed, she got better and better. And I can say right now, at this point in time, we are approaching 5 months of breastfeeding. That'll be next week. She'll be 5 months old, and we love breastfeeding now. We do still have our bad days, like when Olivia is like, you know, like some new things, like some weird new habits she comes up with. Like she likes to claw me and squeeze my boobs really hard, and she like sometimes reaches out for the nipple before it gets in her mouth. She'll try to put it in her mouth herself, which is quite painful. Sometimes she's very picky about which side she wants, because she's getting older and more aware, and she's getting more opinions and things. So there's always challenges, but it's nothing like it was before. And now we do side laying breastfeeding a lot, and I just love breastfeeding so much, and so does Olivia. And I'm just so happy that we actually made it through all of this drama. I really hope that my advice and my story with weaning off the nipple shield helped. I just want to say that it's just going to be hard, and you just have to be willing to accept the fact that if you have a hard baby, when it comes to breastfeeding, it's going to be a hard journey, and it could take a long time. I remember my mother-in-law saying it's going to take about a week to establish breastfeeding, and I was like, oh, that's not too bad. But it actually took 3 months for me and Olivia to establish breastfeeding to a point where it's enjoyable for both of us, and where we feel like it actually works. So it took 3 months. So just keep in mind that it can take a long time for some people, and you just need to seek help. You have to have the right support. You have to have the right information, the right knowledge. I think the number one thing when it comes to breastfeeding is people worry about their milk supply being low, which I have at times, but really it's very uncommon that the milk supply is low. And there are so many ways you can fix it by, 1, not stressing about it, 2, drinking lots of water. When you're breastfeeding, you need to drink an exceptional amount of water. You need a lot of rest, and you just need to be very relaxed, and you need to be, you know, you need to trust your body, I think, as well, because I mean, I've had my days where I would panic about Olivia being too small, but she's always stayed on her marker. So my pediatrician and my midwife think she's doing great, even though she's not a chunky monkey. I know that she's growing well. So you just need to have a lot of support on your side and a lot of patience, and I'm just so grateful to be this far. I will be doing my 6 months breastfeeding update in about another month, and I can't wait. And we really, really love breastfeeding now. We love the closeness. She loves breastfeeding. She's gotten to the point where sometimes she'll be so happy when I take my boob out, she'll start like laughing of joy, and she will smile at the boob now. She snuggles with it, and right now breastfeeding is so easy as well. She still eats every 2 hours, which is pretty often. Sometimes she'll eat a little bit closer together, sometimes a little bit further apart, but mostly every 2 hours, which is really, really close together. But it's fine. She just has a really fast metabolism, is something that I've come to notice, so I have to feed her more frequently. But she doesn't feed as long anymore, and it's just like, it's not painful anymore. It's pretty great, and it's so easy, and it's so natural, and she's getting everything that she needs from it, and I'm just so happy to have made it this far. At this point, we don't plan on introducing any solids until about 6 months. Basically, our motto is any people food under a year is just for fun. We're basically just going to put her at her high chair, and she can play with bananas and avocados and kind of give things a try, but we don't plan on really starting solids out until she's at least a year. That's the plan, and I'm just so happy to make this update and to hopefully help some of you guys who are struggling, especially with the nipple shield, because that is a hard journey. Please contact me if you have any questions or any different kinds of struggles, and you know, definitely get some help. So, all right, you guys, that is my whole breastfeeding journey as it is of now. I will be updating you guys for our 6 month update in about a month.